Welcome back to another episode of Courtside with head coach Justin Jennings. Courtside with Coach Jennings, presented by Walker Brothers Chevrolet, serving Northwest Pennsylvania for more than 100 years. Coach, 1-1 on a road trip. Again, I can't stress this. You cannot take road wins in this league for granted. Obviously, 2-0 was the goal, but you have to feel somewhat relieved to get this split on the road. Kutztown, Westchester, traditionally a tough out, a good win to get things started with Kutztown. But again, a road win in this league is not to be taken lightly.
Absolutely. I thought our guys just, the game against Kutztown was just a hard-fought win. You talk about losing one of your starters an hour before tip-off when he gets put back into protocol, and then losing another starter 5 minutes into the game. So you're playing majority of the game without two starters, and I thought our guys just found a way. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty, but we talk about all the time. That's what road wins are going to look like, and road toughness is going to look like. And I just thought we made some big plays down the stretch after we fought through some things early in the game, and down the stretch we learned how to win. We really did.
You talk about the scoring, and Bernie is in the top 15 in the nation in scoring, and in the Kutztown game in particular. And this is really kind of what he's been able to do, which is kind of really impressive. Is it's difficult to score when you can't make a shot. And he struggled to put the ball in the basket, but he's been able to get to the free throw line. Had 27 against Kutztown, despite shooting it pretty poorly from the field, but still able to generate some offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a little better from three, and I know those numbers are going to start soaring through the roof here shortly. I mean, you just watch him pregame, and the amount of work he puts in Macomb is ridiculous. So those numbers are going to go through the roof, and it was nice to have him see a couple. I think he hit 7 threes over the weekend, which was good, but he did take a bunch. But he's got to just keep working. I think we're working on getting some other guys involved, running some different actions to kind of not put so much pressure and to always have to rely on him to score. But when he kind of gets it going and can get to the line, he's really a closer, and we kind of got to ride him.
The one thing that I was most impressed with, I thought that, especially in the Kutztown game, the way you defended the three-point line, to hold an opponent 4-15 from deep, you're always going to have a chance to win ball games in that scenario.
Yeah. It's very important. It's not just about makes from three. We want to limit attempts, and I think we did a really good job limiting their attempts. They like to shoot a lot of threes, and it's a point. It's a scouting detail that we take to heart, and our guys did a great job with it.
Obviously, Wilcott, another monster, 16 and 14. Some stats are impressive, others are not impressive, but some become more impressive when you look at the size and the stature. 16 and 14 out of Wilcott. If you get that every night, not only is he going to be first team all conference, you're going to win 85% of your ball games.
Unbelievable performance, and you can talk about the numbers, but how about what he did defensively? Basically shutting down Jalen Bryant, the leading scorer in the PSAC at the time, and taking him out of the game. I just thought he did an unbelievable job with that. The play of the game was, I think it was about 3:30 left. He goes and contests the three. Jalen Bryant shot fake. He goes down. He gets back up and blocks it with a second effort. Goes down and scores. They're trying to bring it up to call timeout, and he takes a charge at half court. It was something I hadn't seen a lot of guys be able to do. And just his effort and intensity, I mean, that was just an unbelievable play, and we never looked back from that point.
The other and maybe this would be a testament to Kutztown, because they didn't, obviously you guys were held to 71 points. You're more of an up and down. But only 12 turnovers. If you're only turning over, in that 9 to 12 range, you're always going to have a puncher's chance. And I thought that was something that I thought you guys did a really nice job of taking care of the basketball when maybe the pace wasn't what you would want it to be. And sometimes teams get caught trying to speed things up when it's just not there, and the ball starts flying all over the place. But I thought you guys did a really good job, all things considered, taking care of the basketball.
And that's how you win on the road, right? We talk about it all the time. It's a huge thing that we continue to want to improve on, but that's how you win on the road. You take care of the basketball. You make sure you get a shot every time down, and you don't give up second opportunities on the defensive end. And I felt like that's how you win on the road, and we did that.
The other stat that I thought that really jumped off the page from the weekend, in the 71-67 win over Kutztown, you had 18 offensive rebounds, you're plus 13, and you're plus 8 in second chance points. Well, in the 81-70 loss to Westchester, minus 12 in offensive rebounds, minus 11 in second chance points. You're not a terribly big team. Obviously, you didn't have Say, But what was the difference in your mind in rebounding Kutztown versus Westchester? And is that something that is tangibly fixed? Is there something that you can put your finger on? Yes, we did this against Kutztown well. No, we didn't do this against Westchester.
Yeah, and we know we're not the biggest team, and we're going to be at a deficit. And when you play teams that have two bigs like Westchester does, it's going to be a little bit harder. So you got to take it up a notch. You got to ratchet up, some of that physicality. I think we just missed a couple physical checkouts. We had it really right where we wanted it at halftime at 38-34. We come out, we try to mix up some defense. We get it. Would have been a stop, and we just don't check out. And that was just a really big play that would have gave us some momentum. So, you talk about it. We've been harping on it the last few days. We have some time off here where we can get a little bit more physical in practice. And, again, that's another reason why you went on the road. Can you check out? Can you hold them to one shot? And we didn't do a good job against Westchester.
The other thing that was sort of, to me I thought was staggering, and I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize the only 10 free throw attempts.
Yep.
Is that settling? I mean, Westchester's pretty good. I just don't know if they're the best defensive team ever assembled.
Nope.
How do you fix that? Because that's an unsustainable business plan. You have to shoot more free throws, especially when Bernie shoots them at the clip that he. I mean, you've got guys that shoot at a really high percentage. How do you make sure you shoot more free throws?
Yeah, I mean, I think at times we went looking for fouls as opposed to just playing and trying to finish with force. I think when you just go and you try to finish with force and play through contact, you get those fouls. But once you start looking and you're trying to create that contact, you're just not going to get those calls on the road, particularly in the east of the PSAC. So, but yeah, we continue to work on it. I think there's been times when we've been living at the free throw line, and again, you can't just go looking for it. You got to just play and let those things come to you.
Now, the other thing we talked about, Bernie scoring 27 and struggling to make shots. Well, he struggled from 3 against Westchester, but made shots. What was different with Bernie in the 2-point game? In terms of field goals versus Kutztown and Westchester.
I thought their ball screen coverage at time presented some things for him to kind of take control in the mid range a little bit, and that's kind of where he operated a little bit. And then they changed it up. They started doubling a little bit, and that allowed some other guys to take advantage. But I think he kind of just got to let it come to him a little bit. But living off that ball screen action a little bit more, I felt like that was kind of where he found his sweet spot a little bit.
The other body, we talked, you didn't have to say, Aaron Hopkins made his debut, come over from the football team. You got 20 bench points. If you're going to have 20 bench points a night, you're going to be fairly successful. Obviously, Hop's probably not in basketball shape quite yet.
Not there yet.
But when you look at a third, and he is not a big per se, but he does remind me of a Trey Staunch or a John Gervin, for those guys that are familiar with previous football players that have played. Extremely physical, extremely athletic, and historically, anybody that's paid attention to this league, that traditional undersized four-man has always been a hard guard. When you look at where he is now versus where he might be down the road. Yeah,
I think I just love his energy in practice right now, and that's kind of giving us a lift. He kind of gives us some pop a little bit, particularly on that second group where he can do some things. He causes a little bit of mismatch problems for our bigs. He's a little bit smaller but quicker, and then he just brings physicality. But we're talking an hour before the tip-off at Kutztown. He's barely practiced. Right, he's barely practiced for us, and we're in there trying to go pen and pad, and we're drawing things up, saying, "Hey, I don't know how much you're going to play tonight, but you got to be ready to go." And we're drawing things up, and I thought he did an unbelievable job against Kutztown. He gave us some energy, had a bucket, and just kind of played his role to the T, and we're excited to have him.
Now, you talk about that bench, and you have your starting 5, but situationally, you've got different guys that you can plug in. You've had another, lengthy layover with the schedule. We've talked about it. It's so bizarre. And then you've got the 3 and 5 days or whatever it is coming up at the end of the weekend and next weekend. Are you pleased, injuries aside, but, now that you've had finals week and, you've had your crossover, are you sort of pleased where you're at right now? This is kind of like a quarter mark of the season. Do you feel good about things?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you go on break, teams can go two ways. They can go down one way, or they can get better and work on themselves. And I think we've done that this week. It's been great to see our depth kind of grow a little bit. You talk about Ryan Ladovich playing over 30 minutes almost both nights on the weekend. He hadn't done that in a while, but his effort and his intensity was great. It was good to see him hit a couple shots from 3. Will Taylor's working himself back in the basketball shape as well, and he's getting there. So we're getting more minutes, particularly at that physical, almost like bigger wing spot that we're going to need as we progress in the PSAC.
Courtside with Justin Jennings, head coach here at the Borough, presented by Walker Brothers Chevrolet. serving Northwest PA for more than 100 years. Quick timeout. We're going to look ahead. 3 games in a short window, which seems odd. You've had no games in a long window.
Yep.
But another road trip and then a crossover on the back here at Macomb Fieldhouse early next week. More with Coach Jennings and Courtside, presented by Walker Brothers Chevrolet on the other side of the break.
Factory trained service, a full-service body shop that accepts all insurance, and honest, no-nonsense deals on all new Chevrolets and used cars. Come in and see for yourself why we've been here for over 100 years. Call, click, or stop out. Walker Brothers Chevrolet.
Bring together expert faculty. Offer programs in high-demand fields. Add in a few centuries of tradition. You might call it the future of higher education. We're calling it Pennsylvania Western University. We've combined the resources of California, Clarion, and Edinburgh to create a new way to educate, where opportunities are boundless and tomorrow is yours to define. Built on tradition, built for your future. Welcome to Penn West.
Welcome back to Courtside with Justin Jennings. Courtside presented by Walker Brothers Chevrolet, serving Northwest PA for more than 100 years. Coach, the one thing that I think is going to be really important for you in the style in which you want to play is to have 10 that you can trust. Mm-hmm. We talked in the previous segment about Hopkins, Ladovich, Will Taylor, Easton Fulmer starting. Mm-hmm. Are you getting to the point yet in the season? And again, you're probably going to need it, 3 games in a short window, where you can play your style and have 10 guys that can do it. I know you want to play tempo. I know you want to get a little more defensive pressure. Mm-hmm. Had some trust issues, I think, in the early going. Yeah. Guys are starting to get acclimated. Do you feel better about where you are roster-wise in terms of, the different combinations in which you can play?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the beauty of having the break, you know what I mean? Because you can work on some things, and guys, maybe, you're playing so many games early on, you kind of just get rolling with a certain group, and you're trying to add and instill some things. But, we were able to install a couple offensive looks, and guys were able to dial in a little bit more. So I think our normal rotation is going to expand a little bit, and then once they get opportunities, guys just got to take advantage of those opportunities, and then the roles will expand.
Now, Duville's got a little bit of size. Mm-hmm. Obviously, is Say going to be back? What are you, Ladovich, you mentioned, played a lot. Hopkins played a lot. I thought McNeil played, as a rebounder, is a formidable foe. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Wilcott being a good rebounder. When you come with size, obviously rebounding is going to be important. But how do you use their size against them? Are you going to maybe go with more Ladovich and more Hopkins and trying to be a physical and push the bigs off the spot and speed things up? Or what's the plan going to be until you get 100% of that post spot?
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Stark's going to be dialed into this, so I won't tell too much. But, no, I think we do, those guys will play. We will play a little bigger. We have that package where we can play with that bigger wing really at the 4 spot and go from there. And we're going to have to do that not only tomorrow night against Uville, but, the next few games coming up, Shepherd and Millersville both play traditional 2 bigs all the time. So we got to be able to adapt to them a little bit. But at the end of the day, they got to guard us too. So we got to learn how to play with pace, learn how to exploit some of those things when teams are playing with bigger guys. And we can do that with some of the different style of plays we want to play offensively, and then some of the things we can do defensively to keep them off tempo.
We always talk about the 8 guys in 80 days and where people have fit in their role. I mean, how impressed are you with a guy like Wilcott? I mean, obviously you knew he had something. You wouldn't have brought him here. Yeah. But I mean, I marvel at watching. I really do. Mm-hmm. The kid just seems to know, almost like he can, when the ball is shot, he can get a read as to where it's coming off the rim before it ever hits the rim.
Yeah, and he's got some of that Erie City toughness to him that you just love. I mean, I'll forever be indebted to him. He was the first guy to say yes to me with our program. But so we were so excited to get him, and he's such a pleasure to coach because he's always on. There's never an off day. There's never an off drill. There's never off action. He's always on and always putting forth his best effort. And I think guys feed off that. Mm-hmm. He brings you that energy. There's no one at 6'1" on a good day should be getting 15 rebounds in a night. But he can do that. And, he brings us an edge and a chip to his shoulder.
Now, we talked about this with Coach Wheeler, and it's so strange where, you've had these long layoffs. And then obviously you had the bus situation, which wasn't a true crossover because that wasn't, that was a different feel. But, now we're back to a short window and a short turnaround. Now yours is a little longer than hers because you play Wednesday. They play Thursday. Right. But it doesn't change the fact that it's still 3 games in 6 days when, prior you've gone what feels like weeks without one game.
Right.
What's in terms of your time, what's, obviously you get the game tomorrow night, and then what's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday look like? Because obviously you've got to be prepared, but you also have to be fresh as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're singularly focused on Deauville right now and trying to win that game. I expect to come in Thursday after that, and we'll do some, get a solid weight session in and do some stretching and regen stuff and maybe get some shots up, but then start transforming a little bit into, our PSAC East opponents there coming up.
And then, of course, you've got the Christmas break. I mean, this is a clunky schedule. You're coming from a D1. Have you gotten this figured out any better yet?
Listen, I'm a D3 guy at heart, so I know what those long layoffs are, and I think these layoffs really, really tap into what you are as a basketball player. What is your mental makeup? Do you go home for Christmas and just kind of sit around? Or do you work on your game a little bit? Do you get in the gym? Do you find ways to steal inches to separate yourself? So when you come back, it's not like, because you come back, it's not like we got a week to get back in shape. Yeah. Right? We're back at it against, I think, Ship right away. So
30 or 29 and 30.
Yeah, like bam, you're right back into it. So there's not we can't just come back
on the road again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we play one home game, so let's that's how we roll. We're real warriors. But I think that long layoff really taps into who you are as a basketball player. And I like our guys. I think they'll be in shape coming back and allow us to jump right into practice and not have to worry about other things.
Now, obviously, the team continues to progress. Is it as simple, obviously I think Roberts Wesleyan was your best game, made shots, right? Fulmer came off the bench again. Is your offense as simple as just making shots from the perimeter, because it's going to be really difficult for Bernie to put it on the floor, turn the corner if there's not shooters, opposite and all? Is it that simple for your offense to get where you need it to be, is to shoot, 38, 41% from distance?
Yeah, certainly we need to make shots, but we got to create them too, and we got to play with more pace. And that's not just, that doesn't mean we just got to fire it up the floor and take tough shots early in the clock. Once we bring it up, if we don't have one early, we got to play with pace in the half court to create those gaps and create that separation, create those in rhythm threes that we're going to get. And I think sometimes our shot selection can affect our shot percentage. So we got to continue. We're continuing to push with that, but play with pace, create space, and knock those shots down.
Now, Coach Wheeler, we talked with her. Similar situation where the turnovers, they seem to come in the half court. Do you think that when your turnover, can you pinpoint your turnover woes? Can you say it's because we do this? Obviously, if you have 12 turnovers against Kutztown, that's taking care of the basketball fairly well.
Yeah.
And again, not to insult anyone's intelligence, but the difference between 12 and 19 is 7, which is theoretically 21 points. That's 7 trips with a made shot. Have you been able to sort of figure it out now that you've had a lot more downtime to really break down the film and kind of figure out where the where the problem lies and what's the root of it?
A couple reasons. Some just guys trying to do too much, trying to take it all back at once. Other things are, are we playing to create space? Like when we're getting that drive, or is everybody moving? Everyone's kind of on a pulley system. This guy drives here, then this guy should rotate. This guy should move here. And I think early on it was kind of, hey, he's driving, I'm standing. And we're shrinking the floor. So we spent a lot of time on working kind of on that pulley system. Okay, drive here. Here's our automatic. We know this guy's filling behind. We know this guy's rotating here. And I think that creates more space and less confusion in our decision-making. And if 2 guys commit, bam, we got to spray it. Play off 2, spray it, and then knock the shot down.
Yeah, certainly. And that was it, the Roberts Wesleyan game. Fulmer was making shots from the corner. The help wasn't leaving, and Bernie was able to turn the corner, more successfly. 3 games over the next couple of times on the calendar. A trip to Deauville, finally back 1-3 doubleheader on Monday and Tuesday. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully get a couple more wins in the win column before we chat next time.
Let's go, Burrow.
All right, this is Courtside with Justin Jennings, presented by Walker Brothers Chevrolet, serving Northwest Pennsylvania for more than 100 years.